When I think a lot of times SEOs talk about reporting, they're looking at themselves as the hero. Everything is focused about the manager or the SEO, but actually you're more like the guide. You're not Frodo, you're Gandalf. The client's actually supposed to be the hero.
Welcome to Search Party. Today I'm joined by Matt Mellinger, co-founder of SEO Gets, an awesome GSC and GA4 tool that I have personally used and can vouch for. It's pretty awesome. He's also the previous owner of Local SEO Partners, an agency that helped businesses with their SEO. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Hey there, thanks for having me.
I am pumped to get into our conversation, but first, as you know, we always start with a little game of two truths and a lie. So what do you have for me?
All right. So the first one is that I have been bitten by a snake. The second one is I've been to over 30 countries. And then the third one is I've played over 200 rounds of disc golf.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say you weren't bit by a snake.
I have been bitten by a snake. So that is a truth.
Dang.
Yes.
So which one's the...
The lie is that I have not been to over 30 countries. I think I've been to like 20 something.
Okay, so
23 or 24, but
it's got a vibe of truth, but not entirely
it's
true.
like a part of what's the most dangerous lies that are like mostly truth,
Yes,
but like a
yes.
little bit of lie. But yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What kind of snake and where?
it was in college. I was living in Florida and
Oh God, I'm
this
from Florida. Yeah.
bunch
Goodness.
you're a Florida man, total vibes, like running around. It's like, oh, there's a snake, let's go catch it. And so it's climbing up
You tried to catch a snake?
the fence post, and I think it was like a black racer or something. I don't know.
Oh my
Grabbed it
God.
and thought I had it by the head, and I guess I was too far down the neck, and so I just turned around and like I had this picture on my Facebook with just like blood streaming down my arm. It was fine. But it got me. It
Not a venomous snake. Just
it was not that. Thankfully, I mean, I
yeah.
honestly didn't know that at the time. We're like a snake, so
Right. No, I mean, I would freak out. That's really funny. Okay, so let's get into the marketing of it all. Matt, what did you bring to the party?
So one of the things that obviously have an analytics tool, I think one of the things that at my agency that we did really well was we want to share the framework for reporting that led to our retention rates, which was really high in the few years that we were running that agency. So I think having a fundamental framework helps because a lot of times tactics like do X, Y, Z can be short term. Whereas I like thinking about it fundamentally about a framework of how you're supposed to be thinking about reporting as communication, which will be obviously there will be some actionables, but I think understanding what your job is in reporting helps you actually do the job better because it can be done in 10 different ways with the same framework.
Yeah, no, I'm sure, at least this used to be the case when I was agency side, but reporting is such a critical piece of the puzzle that is so difficult to get right and like truly tell the story in a compelling way. And so I'm excited to see what you are gonna walk through today. So yeah, like I guess where do you want to start? Because to me this is like a big topic.
So there's a book, Story Brand by Donald Miller, which is good for marketing, positioning, kind of messaging. But I think even within client, it's both client management and I'll say reporting, because reporting is a key piece of communication with client management. And so I think with his framework, when I think a lot of times SEOs talk about reporting, they're looking at themselves as the hero. I've done this and this and this, and this is how I've blessed you as the client. Look at all the things that we've done and look at the results that we've made for you and look at us and amazing how we are. Keep paying us more. And everything is focused about the manager or the SEO. And I'm actually going to say, no, flip that. And that's going to be the first shift that a lot of SEOs, because again, you're doing the job, you are working hard, all those things. And so you're like, I'm deserving of this credit. But the point that he kind of puts out is actually you're more like the guide. And so he uses the whole Lord of the Rings analogy where like, you're not Frodo, you're Gandalf.
Yeah,
So,
okay. Yeah.
and I think that's the thing is that like the client's actually supposed to be the hero. So if it's a director of marketing, if it's a business owner, if it's whoever your client you're serving is, they need to feel like they're the hero that actually was the reason that this happened. Because ultimately without them choosing you and making the right decision and doing all these things and trusting you, because there are a lot of pitfalls. they need to make sure that like they get the credit. And what happens is, sure, you don't get the self-satisfaction as much because it's like, look at all the things that we've been doing. It's like, look at what you've enabled. Like, this is what you've done. You've grown this SEO by trusting us. And by trusting Gandalf, Frodo succeeded in the mission. And so that's kind of the framework that like I would say is like, when things go well, they need to feel the ownership about them being the reason of success. They hired you, they made the call. Your job is to make them look smart. SEOs do the opposite, and they will obfuscate. I can't even say the word, but like
That is a hard word to say.
they'll confuse them by like, here's 30 different dashboards, or here's 30 different things and all these metrics, and they're like,
And then, like, do the work to tell this story to your higher ups,
right.
which
And now
does
they're
not
like, I
yeah.
don't know if this is like, and sometimes it's purposeful, which is because there is a stigma with the SEO world about it's 12 months down the road. And like, I don't know how many clients we took on that had 12 months of a retainer, and it's the churn and burn. Like, yeah, just add a blog post or two and maybe do this, or like, and they're just trying to collect the money instead of actually serving. And so our agency was a little different in that we were boutique. We only had a dozen or so clients, but the retention rate, we only lost one client, I think, in 3 years. And then that was a mutual, like, hey, this isn't a good fit, which that will be something we talk about. But all of our retainers actually grew over time because we had success. We were able to continue to like expand because of communication. Hey, you're the hero of this. And they actually want to end up paying you more because they're feeling the success, not you're the success. And so, yeah, I think that's like one of the starts of like, you have to get that right. You have to understand that ultimate, and that's also part of the agency life or consultant life. Even if you're working in-house, you're replaceable. And so you want to be in a place that like they depend on you, but they're clear on it. And so when Gandalf tells Frodo to go here, if he gives him a map in a different language, Frodo is not able to complete that mission. And so he has to sometimes go with him, but sometimes just, hey, this is what you need to go do. Now go do it. And so I think that's the thing is that like in any relationship, communication is always going to be key. Good communication builds the trust. It buys you time and gives you leniency when you actually make mistakes. Because I think people are afraid to make mistakes or afraid to show when things aren't going well because I would say like oftentimes, and this is the first point of like the framework, is that you need to start with alignment. And so sometimes people don't know what they're actually trying to offer, especially in a world where AEO, GEO, AI, SEO, whatever we want to call it, is like, we promise you the world. And you're like, so what does it look like winning? And some people say it's synthetic brand visibility because of synthetic trackers. Some people say it's a growth in clicks. Some people say it's brand awareness. So like everyone has different definitions for these things.
Yeah.
And so like even within like our own industry, we can't agree. So how are we going to like use labels without clearly aligning or defining those expectations? Because that's what's going to reverse engineer. I would always say like in marketing, you always start with the end in mind, like, because nothing else matters. If your goal is clicks, which I think is going to be a wrong end metric, a wrong North Star KPI, because I can get you 1 million clicks about Taylor Swift. But if your business is selling home services, why does that matter? Right.
Yeah. Right.
And so it's like, that's what we see a lot though. Is like, look, we got clicks and not all clicks are the same. And I think in reporting and communication, you have to start with the end goal in mind. What does the business want on this? Now, sometimes if it's a large company, they just want brand reputation, brand visibility, brand all these things. They don't need the ROI as clear as a small local business, right? And so understanding who you're talking to and what their objective is really kind of helps understand like, okay, this is how we're going to get there.
What do you say to folks who are kind of afraid to do that because they don't wanna, like, put a specific metric on like, I know that there are people who are like, "Oh, like, I know that we're trying to drive a certain amount of revenue, but how do we project accurately what that is?" Like, how do you have that end game metric and work into it
Yeah.
confidently?
And that's making a promise between a lead goal and a lag goal. And in Smart Goals, it's a really good book. He talks about lead goals and lag goals. And so one of the things, if I want to improve revenue, say it's a loss, which that's a lag goal. That's what happens. Like I can't just go and change a website and suddenly revenue comes in. Like that's an indicator that the stuff that I've done is working. But before revenue comes leads, right? That's also, I would say, a lagging indicator. I can't go and just get more leads. So the leading indicator would be, what are the jobs that I need to do to produce more leads? And what do I need to do? How many leads do I get to make more revenue? And so you can kind of reverse engineer it, but the thing that you can promise is leading indicator or leading goals. And so I can say like, we're going to focus on creating certain content that is focused on bottom of funnel that will produce X amount of leads. Or like the thing that's hard is like how many leads, how many, you don't, that part is harder. But what I can say is we will start working with this end goal in mind. Now, if you said
Yeah.
revenue is not the goal and leads aren't the goal, but clicks are the goal, which is again, you need clicks to lead to leads, which leads to revenue. But if you're saying this is the end goal, then you're ultimately only accountable to this. And so what happens is, I think SEOs, and again, depends on your alignment of what you're actually shooting for. If you're not looking for the ultimate KPI, which sometimes it's just leads, because sometimes you can't affect the conversion between leads and revenue. That's not your fault. Like home service businesses are notorious for not answering their phone. And they're like, we want more revenue. And I'm like, we're getting more leads. Are the leads bad? So then it's like, okay, are the leads bad? Set up call tracking or set up this. No, the leads are good. Call. Hello, this is the answering machine. You're like, you want more revenue, answer the phone. Like that's not my problem. And so,
Right.
but that's because I understand that like this is the goal and we have to reverse engineer. And then with all of analytics, you have to understand like what are the questions that the clients actually need answered and the things that you need answered to do your job. And so in that case, it's like, I can't be held responsible for revenue because there's a gap that I'm not responsible for. And so I need to have that question asked of like, why is it falling off from here to here? And one of the things that people I think are waking up to is SEO can't be isolated. SEO can't just be content or just technical. It has to be a part of a bigger marketing approach, understanding the ICP of the business and what the business is actually selling, what's profitable for the business. And like, that takes time and effort that sometimes people don't want to put in. But that's where I think like true SEO lives. That's where the best SEOs live, is they understand the brand. They understand the brand's pain points and the personas and those things, and that you're doing these things whether it's good SEO or not, because it's helping the customer. And then I think that's the most holistic way. Now, I have a lot of friends that are more, I'll say, gray hat or black hat. And you look at like stuff that like Indexy or some of these guys are, I think Charles Floats does a lot of this stuff where it's like, we spam, rank, and convert. It works. Is that the approach that I take for my clients? Obviously not. Like if you're aware of that, it's a rank and tank and you want to do that to your own volition. I think some of the stuff they do is really creative. I've never done it and don't have any desire to go that crazy, but it's crazy. Like things that they can do to manipulate algorithms. But I think again, it goes back to like, what is the purpose? Again, alignment. If your
Yeah.
client is saying, I want rank and tank, I just need money tomorrow. Well, that's different. And go hire those guys. They'll do it a lot faster and better. I'm not actually the right fit for that. And so starting with understanding the alignment and the actual objective of the person. The thing is, a lot of times they don't know what they want. The clients don't.
I was gonna say there also is this piece of that initial conversation of like having to recommend what they need and like being that strategic partner because yeah, sometimes they'll say, I don't know, I know I need marketing and I know I need SEO. I've been told these things, but I'm not actually sure like what that looks like or how to measure that.
And I think that's where my biggest gripe with the industry is that people will take that ignorance and abuse it. They'll say, what you need is impressions in Search Console. And I'm like, gross. That's so far up the funnel and so irrelevant to so many things. And like, yeah, and there's no agreement in the industry. And so like, that's where each specialist has different opinions on that. I'm always more to trying to get a closer understanding of how this is an ROI. People I very much respect say there's a lot more, Gaetano and Kevin are a lot more on there's a dark funnel. That's the term that Gaetano kind of termed. And like, I understand that and I respect that the attribution is getting fuzzier. But you're focused on, again, if you're looking at it as a holistic, like larger marketing approach, I'm doing things that help the brand anyway. Like we just did a kind of we're going to start a build in public for SEO for SEO Gets. And so we were talking with our customer success managers, like we're doing a lot of this without even looking at data first, just because we know the business so well that we know we need to create these persona pages, these solution pages, these help desk pages, and we'll see how they do. And then from the data, we'll kind of optimize and improve and understand what people are actually looking for. And so I think that's something, is taking the time to understand the goals. Again, it all this goes back to alignment and communication and clarity. So don't take advantage of someone's ignorance and be like, oh yeah, I could do as little work as possible and make a lot of money, and they probably won't notice for 12 to 18 months. I've had quite a few clients come to us with that, and we've been able to give them 30 to 40% boost in revenue in like 6 months, because you just need to create a couple content funnels or content silos. And I was like, what is this? And you look at what they've done in the last 12 months, and it's been like, we've published 2 blog posts and we had 2 meta titles, and I'm like,
Right.
this isn't even SEO. Like this is
No, they're taken advantage of by, folks who give the industry a bad name as a result, and it's a shame.
yeah. I think there's a more, again, there is a stigma with the industry of like, I've tried 3 SEO agencies, and I've been in calls where they don't even have analytics set up as an SEO agency, and it's crazy. Like it's not that uncommon. There are a lot of good SEOs out there, and so it's not, but like there is a lion's share of, they're good at marketing and they're good at churn and burn and just keeping people as long as they can with these small retainers. Again, that's normally the red flag, is like, yeah, it's $300 to $500 for good SEO, and I'm like, no, you can't. Like you can't spend the time and effort it takes. And sure, you can manage and like do little things. And sometimes I'm a big person about 80/20. Sometimes you just need a clean website. It's a good brand. You need a clean website. You need to optimize Google business profile, and it can have a big impact. And then you can just kind of coast it, and you're not looking to dominate the country. You have a little small region, and sure, exceptions, but like in most cases, it's normally churn and burn in that kind of price range for SEO is what I've seen.
Well, it all goes back to what you said earlier about how those, like, candid conversations are so critical earlier on. If all these people are kind of coming in, not all of them, but a lot of them come in with a skeptical mindset, that's justified if they had a bad experience previously. So being able to just be, like, very frank and honest, I think will be received well, even if it feels weird to do. Because the last time somebody was like, "Yeah, just give us money and we'll do some stuff,"
Right.
probably didn't go terribly well.
Right.
So okay, you were talking about there's a big concept of alignment that ended up having kind of these sub bullets of like alignment on, the goal, and then alignment on what are all the steps that lead to that goal? What do you have control over and what do you not have control over, right? That like ownership piece. So what else like and part of this framework, what's after this like alignment exercise?
Right. So that's the first step. You have the target on the wall. Again, without that target, you don't know where you're throwing darts. That's the analogy I love, is like, if you don't both agree this is the target we're trying to hit, you could hit the center target. He's like, I told you to hit this target. And you're like, wait, I hit the bullseye. I did exactly what I was supposed to do. And so start with alignment on the target, and now start throwing darts. That's like, now you start doing the work, and now the reporting is, okay, so I threw 3 darts, 1 hit a bullseye, 1 hit the outer rim, and 1 went off into left field. I didn't even hit the wall, right? And so the thing is, I like the KISS framework, keep it simple, stupid. And so when we did reporting, we basically had 4 bullet points. And with each of those 4 bullet points, like it was an email, like people have all these fancy tools, agency analytics, XYZ, Looker Studio dashboards with all these different things. And we did 4 bullet pointed email with a screenshot in probably each of them. It was what happened, why it happened, what we're going to do about it, and what do we need from you? Roadblocks. That's it. Super simple email. It was text with bullet points, 3 bullet points, and it read like a story, right? So a business owner, and we've seen so many different reports, and like people get sent dashboards, and it's like looking through the drunk glasses. You're like, I have no clue what I'm looking at here. Like it's dizzy. But businesses, or even anyone in any type of capacity, can understand a story that this is where you started. This is where we're trying to go. And here's what's happening, right? We tripped and pages got de-indexed. We got to figure that out. Like, okay, we somehow, we have to figure out who, added a no index tag to the site robots somehow.
That's always a good time.
Right, like that happens. It surprisingly happens. You're like, why do all my pages? Well, this is why, and we ran into a wall and we bounced off, and this is what we're doing about it. Or, hey, we've created this content which we think is going to lead to this funnel, and we've started to see it get indexed. We started to see those pages add impressions. We've seen a couple clicks already, like in month 1. So we've seen progress here. We've hit a couple targets, base hits, right? We've gotten on base. Nothing has been huge yet, but we know it's all compounding, right? That's what SEO is good at, is that everything is compounding. And so the next month, same thing. What happened? Hey, this went up. Like, one of the things that we do in SEO Gets is we really track in like content groups and topic silos, so that we understand like what are our priorities. Because I can create 300 blog posts and get tons of clicks. And again, if it's not going back to like what's actually going to help, it doesn't matter. And so I like to like look at things as like, some of the guys I've been talking to is like, yeah, traffic's down, conversions are up. And so it's understanding that you have to tell that story in a way, because they're going to ask, why are clicks down? Why are clicks down? And why are clicks down? And you're like, guys, it's okay. You ultimately wanted this target. This is the alignment. And so it may get messy in between. Same thing with LLM and prompt tracking. It's like, people think that it goes back to like the whole impressions is like their end goal is like, we have 100% citation visibility. And I'm like, okay, but are those prompts that people are searching? We know that prompts are hyper personalized. What's actually happening with your bot traffic? Like, are you actually getting retrievals to your things? Are they being trained on your data? Is the technical things good? So that's the first step. Okay, yes, that's happening. So then we should see the next step start to trickle in. Again, it's a funnel. And so as this gets more, it goes down to the next level. As this gets more, and ultimately you're working towards that end goal. And so like, our emails were very simple, 3 bullet points of the big things that mattered. And so what happened is, most people want, especially at first, there's the trust that you kind of have to like, they have to trust you. Once they get to a trust point, a lot of them are reading that, and like, they would normally respond with a question or two. You'd go and dig in and get those answers. Eventually gets to the point where like they start to feel the effects of it, which that's the biggest indicator that you're doing it right. When they stop asking questions, they start to feel the effects of your work. We had a timber framing company, again, that over the year, I think we added like $500,000 in revenue, because they were just hyper focalized and local, but they served nationally. And so started building some national silos and some more product pages and things. And like, they actually were like, can we like, how do we slow this down? We're actually so busy. So like, it gets to a point where reporting or communication, like the money talks, like it basically, it's so obvious. They don't need reporting anymore. That's eventually where you want to get to that place where it's like, yeah, before my phone wasn't ringing and now I can't stop it from ringing. Like, that's how you want to get to, and that's harder. And sometimes it takes a lot more time, but like, this reporting framework is in between that, like, to make sure that they feel comfortable. When you send a dashboard that's just all these different metrics of LLMs and AI and this and this, and they're like, okay, all this data overwhelm, what does it mean? What should I do? Whereas the what happened and why it happened is, again, like, this is going up, this is going down. Here's what we did, and this is what the effect of it, the ROI of our work. And then here's the roadblocks. We need more information, or we need media, or we need content, or we need your expert piece for this PR release, or whatever it is. So they know that's their actionables. And it's just a simple communication. It should be able to be read in 30 seconds or less. I come to that like idea so often in like content, in like, this should be scannable so that I can get the meat of this as fast and easy as possible. So I'm feeling confident. And then you don't feel like you're being tricked, especially, and the thing is, like, be honest. And a lot of times people are only showing the good side of SEO. And so sometimes people are like, okay, nothing's gone wrong in 6 months. Like, this seems almost too good to be true. Whereas if you're very clear, I'll say like the icing on the cake is if you record like a 1 to 2 minute Loom video talking through it, so they can listen to it if they want, they can read it, but both that's in under a minute. They're busy, they're running their businesses, they're running a marketing department, whatever they're doing, they want to be able to have a not have to think about you. If they get to the place that they're wondering, what are they doing and what's
Mhm.
happening, it's too late. Um, I've seen so many people, and that's where churn comes in, is like, you're not proactive, they're reactive.
Yeah.
When they're like, are they doing anything? Or like, what are they doing? Like, does it matter? Like, when they start to ask those questions,
That was the first mistake I made as, like, when I first started account managing many years ago, and I was like, "Oh, I need to be" like, the second you're quiet, even if like, everything's going well, the second you're quiet for just a little too long, you're on your back foot, and it is just like, there's no reason to set yourself up for that because it makes everything so much more difficult even though everything was fine. Even in some of those cases where it's like, "Oh, we're just being quiet because we got our heads down working," it's even better to just be like, this is the status of what we're doing right now." Like, there's not even, like, a major update, but we're still doing it, and I'm still here, and if that is really critical.
yeah, the proactiveness. I think, like you said, you can be having great results, and if they don't know that or like see that, even if they're feeling it, they may be like, "Man, it's just been a great month. I don't know." Like, no,
Yeah.
no, actually, that's us
We're just
adding
lucky, I guess.
trickling your traffic of high intent traffic attributed to our stuff. Like, yeah, that's kind of us. So like,
Well, then let's go back to what you said at the beginning, because like that's the kind of delicate balance of wanting to show your value, but not be the center of the story.
yes, and that's the whole thing. And like, again, it goes back to like, people want to overcomplicate this. And if you're focused about them, what happened with their site, and you're focused around why it's happening for them and why they're seeing the success, it's really the same reporting, just different framing. Instead of like, "Hey, I've done all this, we've done all this," instead of like, "We," or like, your site has seen this, and you're going to see this impact." And it again, it's same concept, just framing it about like, "Hey, dude, you're starting to have success. You're starting to see," and they're like, "Okay, great. I like this. I can report this to my higher up."
So it's the language they're using, and the fact that it's coming from you is enough of a, reference to like, we're the ones who are, helping you do this.
Yeah, and if they normally they'll take credit for it. Like, they'll go to their higher up and like, "Hey, I'm CMO," or, "Hey, I'm marketing manager at a small local," or, "I'm business owner." It's like, goes home and like, "Dude, we're crushing it in SEO." Like, that's what they'll say. "We," like me, I'm and that's great. Like, that's what you want them to think and feel, because you know what's gonna happen? They're never gonna let you go. They have that dopamine of like, "Dude, we're doing good and I'm having success. If I get rid of this person, that goes away." Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, the other piece is like reporting. You said it too at the beginning, which is like, reporting can take so long, especially if you're managing multiple clients. And it's that end of the month thing that everyone's just like, "Oh, I gotta do this." Like, or else I could be having great success, but I have to do this piece that no one really likes to do. But when you keep it simple, when you keep it based off of the target, the alignment, it's just rinse and repeat. It shouldn't take as long. It should be a lot more templatized, but not templatized in that like, the framework. This framework stays the same. The actual fill in the blanks is just, well, this month this happened and last month this. You can start to do it a lot faster because it's not building these custom things and then having to explain these custom things that they still don't understand, and then all of those aspects. So yeah, I think it's full circle, and without it, I don't care how good you are. Communication is key to any relationship, and so the proactiveness, like you said, is essential and it needs to be done. And don't the other piece is like, now people are starting to automate it with AI. We've talked to some people that, like, they pull from our dashboard, they'll fully automate it and then just ship it off to a client, and sometimes without even a human in the loop, just forward. And I'm like,
That's wild.
you, that's crazy. Because it's such a pain, and so
Yeah.
yeah, don't do that either. I have an understanding around the strategy, and I like LLMs as much as everyone else, but um, this is the piece that probably you want to keep a human in the loop for, at least making sure that the context is clear in this, for sure.
Absolutely. Matt, thank you so much for walking us through that. A lot came up for me in my, like, 7 to 9 years of agency life, and I'm like, "Yes, yes," a lot resonated. If people want to read more about your insights and your frameworks and all the things that you share with the industry, where can they find you?
LinkedIn is probably the best place. Matthew Mellinger. You can also email me at SEO Gets if you have any questions. I'm mostly on LinkedIn, sharing about some of the stuff that we're thinking through and processing.
Sweet. Thank you again, Matt. And thank you all so much for listening. If you want an invite to the after party, sign up for our newsletter. It's where we share exclusive behind the scenes tidbits and the guest's answer to the question of the month, which this month is, what is the worst piece of advice you've ever followed? I'm looking forward to hearing that one. Keep learning, keep testing, and keep showing up.